What is going on, everyone? We are back with another review, and this time we're reviewing Season 1, Episode 35 of the Twilight Zone, and the episode is called The Mighty Casey. This was directed by Alvin Ganzer and Robert Parrish, written by Rod Serling, and released June 17th, 1960. To give you a rundown, by the way, if it seems like I'm nonchalantly running through this is now the second time I've recorded this review. For those of you that may not have watched the watch along with us before we got to the review, basically I had to record it twice. My mic didn't pick up the first time, and I made it through the review before I realized what had happened. The good news is I caught it after only one, instead of recording a whole night's worth of stuff. That would have been depressing. However, here we are. And here we will continue. So to give you the rundown of what happened in the Mighty Casey. So this guy is running a team by the name of the Hoboken Zephyrs. And he is absolutely not a fan of... I'm trying to find... Is there... Before we get too far... Okay, they really... I guess that's about as good as we're going to get. McGarry is the coach, and Casey is the player that comes in. Okay, we can run with this. So McGarry is has a team of tryouts for the Hoboken Zephyrs, and the reason he has the tryouts is the team just sucks. They haven't won a game, worst team in the MLB, and he's just trying to find anyone that can help the team at this point. Him and the owner / manager bicker back and forth like a married couple quite often. And eventually, a guy comes in with a pitcher to try out for the team. His name is Casey. And he goes and starts throwing some balls during the practice and is just insanely good. The guy that's with him admits that he is a robot that he created. And they decided to come try out for the Zephyrs. McGarry has decided, it goes on to basically state that nobody needs to know that he's a robot and to not mention that ever again. But they will go ahead and draw up a contract because the dude is insanely good. And they do. So, after all of that, they go through and play their first game against the Giants. And they go out there and they beat the hell out of them. Not only do they beat the Giants, they then proceed to go on like this crazy 20-some-odd game win streak and end up making it to what I am guessing is the playoffs. And once they get to the playoffs, they end up going up against the Giants again. And during one of the games during the playoffs, Casey takes a baseball to the face. In the face. This baseball hunted Casey. No. So, Casey takes a baseball to the face. They pull him out of the game. The doctor inspects him and is like, there's no fractures, no signs of a concussion or anything. He's actually going to be perfectly fine. And he was like, I was actually worried when I heard how fast that ball hit you. I thought we were going to have issues. And then, and in the middle of having the conversation, he's checking for Casey's pulse, and there is none. And he starts to go into panic mode. So the coach jumps in, McGarry, and he's like, what are you snooping for? And he's like, this man's not alive. He doesn't have a heartbeat. And that's when they finally reveal, the doc comes out and the coach both come out, and they're like, okay, he's a robot. And the doc's like, well, I'm going to have to tell the commish. So they go to the baseball commissioner, and the baseball commissioner basically tells him he can't play. He's not human. He doesn't have a heart. The doc comes in, and the doc's like, hey, what if I give him a new heart? And the commissioner's like, you can do that? He's like, absolutely. So he does. They give him a heart. He goes to have the surgery. While they're in the pre-game in what I'm guessing is the series finals against the Giants, Casey has not shown up yet. And all of a sudden, McGarry has to give an impassionate speech to the team almost like Casey's dead. And he goes through and he tells him there's going to be a spirit in the dugout, so anytime just look over and number 7's going to be there watching, and so forth and so on. During this passionate speech, Casey does show up, and he smiles. All smiles. First time you see him smile the entire episode. And the doc tells him he's got a heart, and, that's why there's a smile on his face. And Casey has McGarry listen to his chest, and he's like, there is a heart. So he's like, all right, go suit up. And he suits up. So they go out there, and again, you've seen how this was going to go. He ends up getting rocked. Like, we're talking before the end of we don't know how many points ended up being scored by the Giants, but we know it was like 17 in the first inning. So it was bad. They got rocked. And the coach comes in the locker room at the end of the game, and he's like, all right, I'm an understanding man. Someone tell me why 1 minute he's one of the best baseball players to ever live, and the next minute he can't throw for shit. And basically, Casey says, look, now that I have a heart, I have compassion. And I didn't want to hurt their feelings by striking them out. He's like, so I couldn't do that to him. I didn't have it in me. And the doc does go on to say he doesn't understand competition, ego, things like that. And I get the story that they're trying to paint here, right? But something that has now bothered me since it's the second time that I've watched it. That didn't bother me before, but now that I'm thinking about it, it does. Okay, cool. You didn't want to hurt the feelings of the people you were playing against. But your team, who has been so excited to get to the finals because they've been losers this entire time, and you single-handedly lead them into being a winning team, and now you're going to hurt the feelings of your team just to spare the feelings of your opponents? What? That doesn't make sense. So, plot hole that I'm not a fan of. However, basically says he's going to go into social work and then leaves, and then the coach looks at the doc and he's like, yeah, I know the first person he can help too. Me. I'm going to be without a job, basically, is what he's saying. The doc gives him the blueprints, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. We get a cool little segment afterwards of Serling, not segment, but of Serling talking, basically mentioning on the way out of the stadium, that the team ends up going on a losing, ends up in last place. They then decide that they move the team to like the West Coast or some crap like that. I don't remember where, he said, and basically start anew, and they end up winning several championships and stuff like that. And the team doesn't seem to smile much, and they basically imply that the coach builds a bunch of robot pitchers, and they have like the best pitching staff ever. So there's that. As far as the episode goes, again, first and foremost, guys, I am not a baseball person. I'm just not. I never have been, never will be. I'm to the point at this point in life, I don't even really like sports. So it doesn't matter if it was a basketball story. It doesn't matter if it was a football story. Football, I probably would have gotten into, at least story-wise, a little bit more because I did used to love football. Same with basketball. It's just baseball. I played a lot of basketball and football in high school. Not on the team, but just in high school in general. A lot of 2v2 tournaments and things like that on the courts and backyard football, stuff like that. I just couldn't get into baseball. Like, the only time I can get into baseball is if I actually go. The only two baseball movies that I liked growing up was Rookie of the Year and Angels in the Outfield. And even then, if you really think about it, I was a kid. Those were meant for kids. They were fun for kids. And I don't know. But it was okay. It's going to end up middle to bottom of the list probably. I don't know. But what I will say is we've got one more episode. The next episode that comes out on Thanksgiving is the season finale. And we will also be doing not only will we be watching the episode and reviewing that episode, but we're also going to be giving our overall rankings of all of it. And per the norm, on the day of the rankings, we will also be picking what's next. Maybe it'll be a new show. Maybe it'll be a movie. Maybe it'll be the next season of Twilight Zone, since it seems like the picker likes to pick all the old stuff. However, I'm excited. I'm always excited to roll for something new. This has been an amazing ride, though. And obviously, it's only season 1 of several. So, I don't even know how many seasons does this fucking show have? This one specifically has 5. So, we will be back. Alright, guys. That is going to do it. It looks like if we do end up with Season 2, it's only 29 episodes. Season 3 is 37. Season 4 is 18. So, Season 4 was super quick. And then Season 5 is 36. I wonder why it's like long, short, long, short. That's interesting. Alright, guys. That is going to do it for this review. I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace.